Naomi Blake awoke to the hush of an ocean view penthouse and the thrum of dread in her chest. 12 years married, and yet whenever her husband went all out with surprise gestures, she'd learned to look for the second story beneath the gold leaf. Sunlight shimmered over Lagos Lagoon as house staff wheeled in a breakfast cart heavy with fruit platters and rose petals. "From Mr. Blake, madam," the steward said, bowing. In the center sat a handwritten note. "To the woman who completes my world. Dress elegantly tonight. A driver will collect you at 7. Darren." Naomi tilted the card, reading between calligraphed lines, an apology wearing perfume. She slid into a silk robe and padded to the balcony, phone in hand. Her best friend, Aunt Fola, answered on the first ring. "Child, your spirit sounds unsettled," Fola said, voice raspy from dawn prayers. "It's our anniversary," Naomi whispered. "He's staging a spectacle again." "Remember my words," Fola intoned. "When men build altars to ego, women must become the earthquake." Naomi's laugh was brittle, the line went quiet except for seabirds. Then Fola asked, "Are you ready for truth?" Naomi exhaled. "Truth is overdue." Hours later, boutique stylists fussed over Naomi's gown, a backless sheath of ivory satin. On the zipper, she felt her heart hitch. Look magnificent, look unbothered. Outside, paparazzi waited. Darren had leaked their dinner location to press, he loved his own legend. Cameras flashed as he emerged from a limo, expensive grin dazzling. He drew Naomi close for the perfect frame. His cologne swirled with something new, the faintest hint of guilt. Inside the velvet-lined restaurant, a table for two glimmered with candles and diamond-cut glassware. Darren lifted her hand. "To us," he said. His eyes, once bright with partnership, now scanned the doorway every few minutes, as if expecting another guest. Naomi clinked her glass, watching him over the rim. "Why so restless, darling?" She'd begun cataloging tics, a quick throat clear after lies, a fingertip tap when stalling. Tonight the tapping was relentless against his cufflink. Dessert arrived beneath a silver dome. The waiter removed the lid, a velvet box on a bed of spun sugar. Darren opened it, sliding a necklace of flawless diamonds around Naomi's neck. The restaurant gasped, camera shutters fluttered like wings. Naomi's smile was picture perfect, but her collarbones burned under the weight. "Speechless?" Darren teased. "Speechless," she echoed, pressing a cool palm to the stones, wondering whose silence he was buying. Naomi's phone pulsed with a single name, Marcus Dean. Childhood friend, now licensed PI, sworn to secrecy. She answered in the ladies' lounge, music muffled outside. "Naomi, confirmation just landed," Marcus said. "Hotel Indigo, Suite 904. Same charge hits every Thursday, last one was yesterday." Naomi's nails dubbed crescents into her palm. "Who checked in with him?" Security cam caught her face. A pause, Naomi heard the click of a file opening. Lena Carter. Heat washed through Naomi, anger, humiliation, then cold resolve. "Email me everything." "And Marcus, thank you. Always. Call if it gets ugly." She pocketed the phone, reapplied lipstick, returned to the table with a serene mask. Darren wrapped an arm around her waist as a photographer asked for one last shot. "Turn a little, babe, let them see the necklace," he coached, as if she were a showroom mannequin. The party moved upstairs to a private lounge for post-dinner cocktails. Naomi mingled among CEOs and socialites. Everywhere she went, gossip followed her like perfume. "Naomi's so lucky. Darren's the perfect husband." She smiled graciously, hiding tremors in her stomach. Across the room, Naomi saw Lena, the assistant, arrive late, balancing gift bags. Lena's dress was champagne silk, delicate, almost bridal. On her wrist glittered a thin diamond bracelet, the exact design Naomi had sketched months ago as a future anniversary gift. Only 2 had ever been made, Darren had insisted it remain unique to us. Naomi approached. Lovely bracelet, she said sweetly. Lena glanced down, flushing. Oh, Mr. Blake surprised me. Said it was a company reward. A generous gesture. Naomi's gaze lingered one beat too long. Lena shifted, sensing an undercurrent. Back at their penthouse after midnight, Naomi draped the necklace on her vanity like a snake shedding skin. Darren loosened his tie. Big night, he sighed, satisfaction lining his voice. Naomi leaned against the doorframe. You enjoy being admired, don't you? He chuckled. Who wouldn't? Just be sure the right things are being admired. He froze, tap 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 went his finger on the dresser. Meaning? She stepped closer, sliding arms around his neck. His tension eased instantly, vanity was his leash. Naomi whispered, meaning the best parts of you should be visible, not hidden. He kissed her forehead, misreading her entirely. When he turned away to shower, Naomi's smile faded. She pulled a small flash drive from her clutch, placed it beneath a false bottom in her jewelry box, and whispered, tick-tock. Morning sunlight cut through sheer curtains. Darren left early for board meetings. Naomi waited until the door clicked shut before opening her laptop. Marcus had delivered time-stamped photos of Darren and Lena entering Hotel Indigo, receipts for room service for 2, audio clips of flirtatious phone calls. Unable to remain inside her own skin, Naomi drove to her favorite shoreline market for clarity. She wandered between stalls of Ankara fabrics and roasting plantains, head wrapped in a simple scarf. At a jeweler's kiosk, she saw a replica of the bracelet design she'd created, already knocking off on cheap metal. Rage tightened her throat. Darren had turned her art, their private symbol, into a public trinket for another woman. Phone buzzing again, Aunt Fola. Naomi confessed everything while weaving through crowds. My niece, betrayal is an unpaid debt, Fola said. Decide, will you carry it, or will you collect? I'll collect, Naomi answered, voice hardening. Then gather proof and witnesses. Let his kingdom crumble under its own mirrors. That night Naomi hosted Lena and several executives for a casual planning dinner. She wore the same bracelet design, the original, custom forged in pure gold. When Lena arrived, wrist shimmering with Darren's gift, the duplicate moment was undeniable. Naomi caught Darren's eyes across the dining table, lifted her arm, and let the bracelets glint in unison. Conversation paused. Darren's jaw ticked. Lena sipped water, confused. Naomi simply smiled and said, some designs are timeless. The guests resumed chatter, but a fissure appeared in Darren's confident facade. After dessert Naomi excused herself, claiming a headache. Upstairs she rifled through Darren's closet until she found a shoebox of sentimental keepsakes. Among them, the original sketch of the bracelet with her signature. She tucked it into her purse, evidence A. Days later, Naomi sat in her car outside Darren's corporate tower, waiting for Marcus's call. Her heart rattled against rib bones like a prisoner shaking bars. Phone rang. Marcus's tone was razor-sharp. Naomi, it's worse than we thought. Tell me. Shell companies. He's funneled marital funds into personal accounts, gifts, trips, hush money. And Lena's name appears on 2 of them. Naomi inhaled, fought nausea. Can you prove it? Paper trail's clean, but the IT guy slipped me backup logs. Time-stamped transfers. Naomi closed her eyes. The magnitude hit her, not just infidelity but financial betrayal. Inside the tower's lobby, she crossed paths with Lena, who held Darren's leather portfolio. Naomi's voice was calm. I need a moment with my husband. Lena nodded, stepping aside. Elevators hummed their secret ascent. In Darren's office, glass walls, skyline backdrop, Naomi confronted him with a smile. Lunch, she proposed. He checked his watch, distracted, but obliged. Over quinoa bowls at a fusion cafe, Darren scrolled his phone, barely present. Naomi studied him like an artifact. You look at screens more than faces, she said lightly. Running empires isn't a 9 to 5. Empires fall when rulers ignore the foundation. He chuckled, missing the blade hidden in the words. Lunch finished, Naomi excused herself to the restroom, left through the back exit, and met Marcus in an alley. He handed her a slim red USB. Every transfer, every alias. Naomi asked, "How long to freeze accounts?" "Your lawyer can file emergency injunctions by dawn." Naomi tucked the drive into a satin clutch. Thunder rumbled in humid skies above Lagos, a storm gathering, just like Aunt Fola foretold. That evening, Naomi brewed jasmine tea at Fola's bungalow. Candles flickered, filling the room with sandalwood smoke. Fola set 2 teacups, dropped a sprig of dried hibiscus into Naomi's, and watched the petals unfurl blood-red. "See how truth stains clear water," she said. "Let it color everything." Naomi clasped her aunt's weathered hand. "I'm ready to be the storm." Flashback to 3 months earlier, Naomi searching the penthouse for Darren's misplaced passport. In the study's recycling bin she found a crumpled hotel receipt, Suite 904, 1 queen bed, 2 guests. She had smoothed it flat, heart hammering, but buried it beneath magazines. Denial felt safer than confrontation then. Now, armed with Marcus's evidence, Naomi retrieved that receipt from the household shredding bag, thankfully emptied only weakly. The paper smelled faintly of cedar and toner. She slipped it into a red folder with the USB, the bracelet sketch, and printed screenshots of Lena's late-night messages. "Wish you were here, counting minutes till Thursday." Her lawyer, Barrister Adiz Okon, met her in a conference room overlooking the city's neon veins. Adiz reviewed the file silently, then looked up. "This is open and shut adultery and financial misconduct. You can claim majority of community assets." "I don't only want money," Naomi said. "I want truth televised." "Public filing will leak within hours," Adiz replied. "Are you prepared for headlines?" Naomi thought of every whispered compliment that had silenced her doubts. "You're so lucky." "Darren's a catch." She nodded. "Let the world read what I swallowed." Adiz slid across 2 documents, one petition to freeze accounts, another the official divorce papers, both with signature lines waiting. Naomi signed, pen stroke steady. Adiz asked, "Service of process?" "On our anniversary dinner," Naomi answered. "Front row audience." That night Naomi and Marcus broke into quiet laughter while compiling a playlist of fond memories to accompany the reveal. Marcus teased, "We should cue Irreplaceable right after he opens the folder." "Too on the nose," Naomi grinned. "Maybe Nina Simone's feeling good." At 2 a.m. Naomi stood alone on the rooftop terrace, wind nodding her hair. The skyline blinked, indifferent. She pressed a voice note button on her phone and whispered. "For 12 years you rehearsed gratitude from me, Darren. In 3 days, I will return the favor, with interest." She saved the message, not to send, but to remind herself of the turning point. Cameras would later capture Naomi walking away from a stunned crowd in Chapter 15, but this quiet midnight, file in hand, heart stone steady, was the real moment she left. As dawn pinked the horizon, Naomi finally slept, red folder resting on her bedside table like a loaded gun. The final image of the chapter, and episode 5, lingers on the folder's crimson spine as morning light creeps across it, promising that the blade of truth will soon be unsheathed. Dark clouds bruised the Lagos afternoon when Naomi slipped into her aunt's bungalow. Candles glimmered on carved wooden shelves, bundles of sage and dried hibiscus hung like tiny crimson flags overhead. Aunt Fola greeted her with a tight hug that smelled of sandalwood and wisdom. "Sit, child." She beckoned Naomi to a low table where a porcelain teapot steamed. Into 2 glass cups she poured jasmine, then added a single hibiscus petal to Naomi's. The scarlet bloomed through pale gold like a secret spreading. "Tea first, storm later," Fola said. Naomi exhaled. "The storm has already started, Auntie. I filed the papers. Darren's accounts will freeze by morning." She placed the red folder on the table. Fola's eyes gleamed. "When thunder roars, lightning must follow." She opened the folder, flipping through evidence. Your groundwork is precise. Yet precision is not the same as courage. Am I not courageous now? Naomi asked, voice thin. You are becoming, Fola corrected. But to finish this you must stand before every eye that once adored your marriage and announce its burial. That takes a warrior's throat. Naomi looked into her cup, crimson ribbons swirled. Teach me, then. Fola reached into an ancient velvet pouch and produced cowrie shells. She tossed them onto a woven mat. These speak, she murmured. Shells landed mouth up, forming a crooked line like a river splitting stones. Fola studied them. Your path is straight, but many stones will attempt to divert you. If you hesitate, you'll be forced to start anew. No hesitation, Naomi vowed. Fola smiled, satisfied. She handed Naomi a slim wooden box. Inside is a kit, powdered charcoal and cola nut. When fear crawls up your throat, place a pinch under your tongue. It will silence trembling. Naomi ran a thumb across the box. A talisman? A reminder. Strength already lives in you, this just taps its shoulder. They drank in silence until rain lashed the windows. Fola spoke again, have you chosen your witness? Naomi frowned. Witness? One who will stand beside you during the reveal. Not Marcus, he is strategy, not sanctuary. Choose someone whose loyalty Darren once doubted. Naomi pictured the timid housekeeper, Remy, the chauffeur, Abiola, Darren's own younger sister, Teo, who always suspected her brother's arrogance. Any of them could be a devastating mirror. Lightning flickered, Naomi's phone lit too, a text from Marcus, judge signed the freeze at 4:38 p.m. We're live. Naomi met her aunt's gaze. The sky just answered. Fola lifted her cup. Then drink. Tomorrow, let thunder follow. 12 days remained until the lavish anniversary gala Darren had planned. Naomi turned those 12 days into 12 missions, each one a brick removed from the wall of Darren's life. Day 1, bank, at 9 a.m. she sat opposite a stunned branch manager, presenting the court order. Joint account, frozen. Business account, where she was legal co-signatory frozen. Darren's Sapphire credit card? Declined before lunchtime. Day 2, branding, Naomi hired a discreet PR firm on retainer. Statement, the consultant asked. Not yet, Naomi replied. First, monitor Darren's channels. I want to know when panic hits. Day 3, ally recruitment, she drove to a modest apartment block where Naomi Blake, Darren's younger sister, lived far from her brother's glitz. Over jollof rice, Naomi unveiled Darren's duplicity. Teo's eyes hardened. I always warned him that pride eats its owner, she said. She agreed to stand by Naomi when the moment came. Day 4, costume, Naomi visited designer Imani Ajayi's atelier. I need a gown, she said, regal yet incendiary. Imani sketched a stunning gold suit dress with sharp shoulders and a plunging neckline. You look like a sunrise people can't stare at for long, Imani promised. Day 5, Lena, Naomi booked a manicure at the same spa Lena frequented. They sat side by side in massage chairs. Small talk floated, traffic, makeup tips, until Naomi leaned over and murmured, does he whisper your name when the cameras leave? Lena's polished brush froze. Naomi continued softly, when he tires of your sparkle, remember tonight. Borrow courage. She left Lena shaking. Day 6, legal spikes, barrister Adiz filed subpoenas for hotel surveillance, Darren's attorney called, frantic. Naomi instructed Adiz to say only, my client will address all questions at the celebration. Day 7, the venue, Naomi visited the rooftop where the gala would happen. She paced the perimeter while the event planner babbled about chandeliers. She requested an upgraded sound system for a multimedia surprise. Day 8, media breadcrumbs, Naomi posted a photo of hibiscus tea on Instagram with the caption, when the truth blossoms, it stains everything red. Followers flooded the comments with curious emojis. Darren's PR team scrambled but had no answer. Day 9, silent distance. Naomi moved into a boutique hotel, leaving the penthouse to Darren. He called repeatedly, she let them ring. Voicemails stacked, confusion, then irritation, then pleading, baby, call me. Something's going on with the banks. Day 10, rehearsal. At Marcus's office, Naomi, Marcus, Adiz, and Teo rehearsed the exact sequence: folder handoff, video projection, press leak. Teo would record from her seat, Marcus would livestream a secure feed to the PR firm, who'd push it viral the moment Naomi said begin. Day 11, doubt. Alone in her hotel room, Naomi reread old love letters Darren had written a decade earlier, inked promises of forever. Tears blurred the words. She nearly faltered, but full as a keat powder stung beneath her tongue, anchoring her resolve. Day 12, dawn of war. Naomi picked up her finished gold suit. The tailor's mirror reflected a woman carved from sunrise and steel. She smiled, not at the beauty, but at the story the suit would soon tell: resurrection. Darren sensed something was off long before he understood why. His Amex failed during a client lunch, an urgent call from his accountant confirmed multiple freezes. When he tried to contact Naomi, her assistant replied, Mrs. Blake is in meetings all week. At dusk, Darren arrived home. The penthouse felt cold, rooms too quiet, kitchen staff tiptoeing. On the foyer console lay a single envelope addressed in Naomi's elegant hand, for the man who miscounts loyalty. Inside, a business-class boarding pass booked in his name, for a flight that had already departed that afternoon. Irritated, he stormed to the master bedroom and paused. Naomi's side of the walk-in closet was half empty, rows of designer dresses vanished. A surge of panic flushed him. He dialed her again, voicemail. Meanwhile, Naomi sat in the hotel's presidential suite, reviewing tomorrow's seating chart on her tablet. Marcus lounged by the minibar, sipping water. Your phone's going to explode tonight, he said. Already silenced, Naomi replied. Marcus studied her. You're different, calmer. I thought revenge would taste like scalding coffee, she said, but it's more like cool water after a marathon. I'm just relieved. Back at the penthouse, Darren prowled Naomi's studio, once her creative sanctuary. A single painting remained on the easel, an abstract of a heart split down the middle, gold leaf lining the fracture. At the bottom Naomi had signed it simply, not yours to break. Darren's finger tapped the frame, tap tap tap, rapid, desperate. He called Lena. She answered, voice trembling. Mr. Blake, something strange happened, the corporate card declined. Meet me tomorrow at the office, he barked. As he hung up, his phone buzzed with a Google alert. Naomi Blake spotted leaving luxury hotel in gold suit bag, cryptic post sparked speculation. Darren's stomach churned. In the presidential suite, Naomi received the same alert and smiled. She turned to Marcus. He's awake now. Wide-eyed, Marcus agreed. He checked equipment, 2 tablets, wireless clicker, backup USB. Everything is synced. All you have to do is press play. Naomi walked to the full-length window. Legos glittered below, restless and luminous. Her reflection overlapped the skyline, woman and city fused. Tomorrow, I return every lie he ever gifted me, she whispered. Morning of the gala. Florists swarmed the rooftop, weaving orchids through crystal arches. Musicians tuned violins, catering staff polished silver. The Lagos skyline shimmered like 1,000 watchful eyes. Naomi arrived early, flanked by Marcus and Teo. She wore her gold suit, the fabric catching sun and throwing it back in defiant glints. Event staff gasped, half in awe, half in confusion. Wasn't the dress code black tie? Naomi greeted the coordinator. Program changes, she said, handing over a revised run sheet. It inserted a special presentation right after Darren's toast. The coordinator frowned but nodded. Mrs. Blake had final say. In a quiet lounge, Naomi sealed a cream envelope with red wax. Inside, a handwritten letter flowed in ink the color of dried blood. She pressed her signet ring into the wax, imprinting NB entwined. Teo asked, "May I read it?" Naomi shook her head. Its first audience must be Darren. She placed the letter into a carved wooden box beside the red folder. 4 p.m., guests arrived. Designers, politicians, influencers in glittering gowns mingled with champagne. #Blake12 trended instantly. 5:30 p.m., Lena walked in, eyes darting. She wore pale rose silk and, tellingly, no bracelet. She spotted Naomi and froze. Naomi approached, voice soft. "Evening, Lena." "Mrs. Blake, You owe me no words," Naomi said, surprising her. "Tonight is about truths, and you are one of them." She looked at Lena's bare wrist. "I see you left the chains at home." Tears welled in Lena's eyes, she nodded and slipped into the crowd. 6 p.m., Darren arrived in a midnight blue tux. Cameras flashed, but his smile looked stapled on. He scanned for Naomi, relief washing through him when he saw her radiant. He strode over. "Gold, huh? You'll outshine the chandeliers." He attempted a kiss, she offered her cheek, cool, polite. "Everything set?" he asked. "Perfectly," she replied. 6:45 p.m., dinner. Lobster jollof, truffle agouti, champagne fountains. Darren clasped a crystal glass and stood. "Family, friends, partners, 12 years ago I married the love of my life. Naomi has been my anchor and compass." Applause. He lifted a velvet ring box. "Tonight I gift her the world again." Naomi rose slowly. "May I speak before the gift?" Darren, caught mid-grand gesture, hesitated. "Of course." She snapped once, tech crew dimmed lights. A spotlight silhouetted her gold suit. She held up the wooden box. Inside are two things, one for Darren's eyes only, the other for everyone's. She opened the box, withdrew the envelope, and handed it to Darren. "Read this later, alone." He frowned but pocketed it. Then she lifted the red folder high, murmurs rippled. "And this," she announced, "tells the story of the past year, written not by me, but by my husband's actions." Marcus, hidden near the AV desk, clicked play. Screens behind the head table lit, scrolling bank transfers, CCTV images of Darren and Lena, timestamps, whispered voicemails. Darren, audio suite 904, same as always. Lena, audio, I miss you, does Naomi suspect? Darren, she's too busy being perfect. Gasps. Forks clattered. Darren lunged for the remote, Marcus disabled it remotely. Naomi's voice overlaid the footage, pre-recorded. For 12 years I carried your crown. Tonight I return it, tarnished, as you left it in my hands. Lights brightened. Silence thicker than velvet. Naomi placed the folder before Darren, bowed slightly, queen returning spoils of war, and sat. For 3 full heartbeats no one spoke, only the hum of projectors and distant traffic. Then a single champagne flute toppled, shattering like cymbals to cue chaos. Guests whispered, some stood, others filmed. Lena fled, heels clacking. Darren's face drained gray, he hissed, "How dare you?" Naomi replied calmly, "How dare you assume gratitude is eternal?" He tore open the folder, photos, transfers, the hotel receipt. Sweat beaded. "This is entrapment," he barked, voice cracking. Marcus stepped forward, holding up a notarized affidavit. Evidence gathered lawfully. You can dispute in court. Darren's lawyer, who'd slipped in late, hurried over. "Mr. Blake, we need to leave." Darren shook him off, turning to the crowd, forcing a crooked smile. "Everyone, please, private marital issues." Adi's voice rang across the table. "Mr. Blake, the Court of Lagos has frozen assets pending divorce. Statement of claims will be public record within the hour." She tapped her watch, as if on cue. Phones pinged, news alerts already breaking. Teo rose next, holding her smartphone. Brother, your downfall isn't private when you've made your marriage a billboard. She pointed the camera at him. Darren's eyes widened. Family betrayal stung worst. Naomi stood. I won't ask anyone to choose sides. I only ask you to remember that appearances can be forged like diamonds, flawless until struck with truth. She lifted her flute and toasted the room. To new beginnings. She drank. The crowd, spellbound, hesitated, then many raised their glasses too. A journalist burst through the doors, security too late. Mrs. Blake, any comment for Global Lagos? Naomi smiled serenely. Comment? Watch. She took Fola's talisman from her clutch, flipped the wooden lid, revealing charcoal cola powder. She dipped a finger, pressed it to her tongue. Cameras zoomed on the ritual, mysterious, powerful. Flashbulbs exploded. Darren slammed both palms on the table. Naomi, think about the company, investors, our family name. She faced him. I am thinking about the name, mine. Then she turned to the audience. Dessert is served outside on the terrace. I invite you to enjoy the view. Lagos is beautiful at night, especially when masks fall away. Guests filed toward glass doors, murmuring. Some offered Naomi squeezes of support, others gave Darren side-eyed pity. Within minutes, the grand dining hall emptied, leaving only Darren, Naomi, Marcus, Adiz, and Shattered Crystal. Darren sagged into a chair. You planned this for months. 12 years, Naomi corrected. I only realized it in the last 12 days. He rubbed his temples. What do you want? Money? A public apology? Just tell me. I wanted to remember my own voice, she said softly. And to let the world hear it, once. A soft alert chirped from Darren's phone, stock price tumbling. He stared at the screen, horror mounting. Naomi headed for the terrace doors. Naomi, wait, what's in the letter? He called. She paused, hand on the handle. Everything you should have said to me, but I had to write it myself. She walked out into the evening air. On the terrace, fireworks erupted, an anniversary feature Darren had prearranged. Bursts of red and gold lit Naomi's face. The crowd gasped at the spectacle, unaware that behind them in the hall a kingdom lay in ruins. Marcus joined Naomi at the railing. You realize the internet is already calling this the rooftop reckoning? Naomi chuckled, eyes on the sky. Let them name it what they want. I call it breathing. Camera pans out, Naomi in gold, fireworks above, city lights below, a woman reborn. The terrace fireworks still crackled overhead when Lena Carter stumbled into a service corridor, mascara bleeding black tributaries down her cheeks. She had fled the dining hall moments after the video exposed her Thursday night hotel visits, but flight offered no refuge. Darren's bodyguards blocked the service elevator, and paparazzi prowled the stairs. She pressed her back to a supply closet, breathing in bleach and panic. Her phone buzzed. Darren. She answered with a shaky, I'm so sorry. Shut up and listen, he hissed. Get outside, find a car, disappear. You understand? Lena swallowed. What about us? There is no us until I clean this up. Click. Deadline. Tears threatened again, but rage pushed them back. Throw me to the wolves to save your brand? Her thumb hovered over Instagram, impulse battled caution. Then, the mistake, she opened her camera and shot a mirror selfie. Her rose silk gown was spotted with champagne, mascara streaks like war paint. Caption. Funny how perfect husbands delete you when the spotlight burns. Hashtag truth costs. She hit post. Within seconds the image appeared under the still trending hashtag Blake12, the comment section filling with popcorn emojis and cries of spill tea. Elsewhere, Naomi drifted through the terrace crowd collecting quiet congratulations. A soft vibration in her clutch alerted her to Lena's post. She scanned it, then handed the phone to Marcus. She just tossed gasoline. Marcus whistled. Darren's in a PR death spiral, and his mistress just lit another match. Inside the hall, Darren argued with his lawyer, Barrister Yusuf, while Adiz and venue security hovered like referees. Darren demanded every phone be confiscated, an impossible order. News drones buzzed outside the glass walls, red recording lights winking like hungry eyes. A staffer burst in, "Sir, Ms. Carter's post is viral. 3 million views in 10 minutes. Darren's face contorted. He shoved the folder into Yusuf's hands. Do damage control. Offer her money, silence her, anything. Back in the service corridor, Lena's notifications exploded. Blue-check influencers begged for interviews. She stared at the screen, half thrilled, half terrified. Then a number she didn't recognize called. Hesitation, answer. Ms. Carter? I'm Naomi Blake. Lena's breath hitched. Darren's own sister? Naomi continued, voice calm. My brother's spins are finished. If you want a lawyer who won't throw you under a bus, I can recommend one. But first, do you still have the bracelet? Lena glanced at her clutch. The diamond bracelet lay inside, symbol of stolen promises. Yes. Keep it. Evidence shouldn't be returned to the crime scene, Naomi said, then hung up. Lena slid down the wall, clutch pressed to her chest. Mistake made, fate chosen. 15 minutes after the reveal, the rooftop bar resembled a diplomatic summit, half the guests huddled around Naomi, the rest circling Darren like uncertain satellites. Naomi's composure, armored in gold, created a gravity of its own. She raised a hand for silence. String lights overhead flickered, distant traffic droned. Friends, she began, voice clear, anniversaries mark either endurance or evolution. Tonight I choose evolution. She lifted a champagne flute. The crowd mirrored her. To the women and men who wake up and decide, my story needs a rewrite. To endings that are really doorways. Glasses chimed like delicate bells. A young tech CEO leaned in, whispering to a fashion editor, this is history. Remember that Uni Palace dinner meltdown in 23? Multiply by 10. Phones kept recording. Naomi continued, some will call this scandal, I call it oxygen. She gestured toward the skyline. Breathe with me. Dozens of guests inhaled, an involuntary collective gasp that felt strangely healing. On the far side, Darren watched, jaw locked, fist wide around his own glass. He heard laughter bubble from Naomi's circle, a laughter he had not heard from her in years. His brand manager tugged his sleeve. Sir, investors require a statement. Later, he snarled, eyes fixed on Naomi. Meanwhile, Marcus slipped a tiny lapel mic onto Naomi's jacket. Just in case someone tries to erase tonight from the internet, he whispered. Live audio streamed to cloud storage. Naomi turned toward Naomi. Thank you for coming, she said softly. Naomi squeezed her hands. Families break, Naomi. Some fragments grow flowers. Together they faced the crowd. Suddenly, a hush spread. Lena emerged from the corridor, still disheveled but defiant. Guests parted. She approached Naomi, stopping a respectful distance away. Eyes rimmed red, Lena spoke loud enough for cameras, Mrs. Blake, I owe you an apology. I chose ignorance when truth whispered. She removed the bracelet and extended it. If you want this returned. Naomi shook her head. No remorse in recycled jewelry. Keep it, remind yourself your worth isn't borrowed. Lena's chin trembled. Thank you. She stepped back into the shadows, but the gesture earned murmurs of admiration. Naomi clinked her glass to regain the room's attention. Let's not let hollow diamonds distract us from real gems. She called for the band. Saxophone notes floated warm as honey. Couples swayed. The gala had transformed into a liberation party. A blogger live streaming whispered, "I thought I came for an anniversary, I'm witnessing a rebirth." After an hour, Naomi excused herself to a quiet corner. Marcus followed. "You good?" She laughed lightly. "I thought victory would roar. It sings, actually, softer but deeper." Below, traffic honked. Naomi gazed over the railing. "Tomorrow tabloids will feast, but tonight, just tonight, I want this quiet joy." Marcus saluted her and slipped away. She tapped a quick text to Aunt Fola, "Storm past. Sky clear." Fola replied with a single emoji, a sunrise. 2 hours post-gala, Pulse Nija uploaded a high-definition video titled #Blake12, Full Rooftop Reckoning. 10 million views by sunrise. At 6 a.m. Naomi, wrapped in a hotel robe, sipped coffee and watched morning news anchors dissect freeze-frame images of the red folder. Headlines. Who is Naomi Blake? The quiet powerhouse behind tonight's biggest exposé. Red file, red flags, corporate infidelity goes prime time. Adiz called. Darren's camp issued a statement, fabrications, malicious editing, ongoing negotiations. Standard denial. Naomi chuckled. He's still selling illusions. I've scheduled a press conference at noon, Adiz said. Bring the physical folder. Symbolism matters. By 11:40 a.m. the courthouse steps teemed with reporters. Naomi arrived in tailored white pantsuit, red folder tucked under her arm like scripture. Flashes popped, questions flew. "Mrs. Blake, why go public?" She paused at the top step. Because private accountability failed. She held up the folder. When wrongdoing multiplies in the dark, light is the antidote. Adiz took the podium, outlining adultery, misappropriation, and psychological abuse. Then she opened the folder for cameras, crisp documents, color-coded tabs. Exhibit A, bank transfers, Exhibit B, surveillance, Exhibit C, a receipt Ms. Blake found in her own trash. Gasps, shutters clicked. Across town in a dim boardroom, Darren watched the live stream, surrounded by grim-faced executives. His CFO muttered, "Share price down 18%. Darren slammed a fist on the table. "We sue her for defamation." "Evidence is solid," the legal head replied. "Suing will expose more." Darren's phone buzzed, Lena again. He ignored it. Back on courthouse steps, a journalist asked Naomi, "Is revenge your goal?" Naomi smiled. "Justice is not revenge, it's balance." She descended, each heel click echoing through microphones. Halfway down she stopped, turned back. "And balance," she added, "is beautiful." The clip trended under #BalanceIsBeautiful, spawning memes of Naomi holding scales flaming with phoenix wings. Later, in Adiz's office, Naomi placed the red folder inside a fireproof safe. "Done," she whispered, almost surprised. Adiz poured celebratory Zobo. "This folder started a revolution," she said, clinking glasses. Naomi sipped. "Funny, it's just paper. But truth printed is heavier than stone." Night fell on Lagos. Drone footage of the courthouse steps lit billboards. Naomi's poised figure became an emblem of fearless disclosure. Meanwhile, Darren's lawyers scrambled to limit damage, but the folder, duplicated across servers, was unstoppable. 3 days later, Naomi sat in the sleek studio of the Women's Mic, West Africa's fastest-growing podcast. Her gold suit had been replaced by a simple indigo jumpsuit, regal yet grounded. Host Ife Abiola flashed a grin. "Ready to break the internet again?" "We'll just talk," Naomi replied, adjusting headphones. "If truth breaks things, so be it." Red light on. Ife, listeners, today we welcome the woman currently redefining power in marriage and business, Naomi Blake. Naomi, honored. Ife, first question, how does it feel to spark a global debate? Naomi, as unreal as sitting inside your own echo. They laughed. The conversation flowed, childhood dreams, painting, the pressure of glossy marriages. Half an hour in, Aoife leaned forward. Some label you vindictive. Naomi's eyes held steadiness. Vindictive is action rooted in malice. I acted from self-preservation. There's a difference between a sword swung in anger and a scalpel used to remove rot. Aoife grinned. That is a mic drop line. Twitter seized on the quote in real time, #scalpel-not-sword trending by segment's end. Mid-episode, Aoife surprised Naomi with a caller, Aunt Fola. My child, Fola's voice crackled, the world finally hears your heartbeats. Naomi's throat tightened. Couldn't have done it without your thunder lessons, she replied. Listener comments exploded with heart emojis. Then, we have another caller, Aoife announced, Lena. Studio air chilled. Lena's voice trembled, Naomi, I need to say this publicly. I was complicit in lies. Your courage forced me to confront myself. Thank you. Tears shimmered in Naomi's eyes. Healing is communal, she answered. Join the circle, bring your story. The gesture turned audience sentiment from scandal voyeurism to collective catharsis. Donations flooded to women's shelters Aoife promoted, credited to Naomi Effect. As the show wrapped, Aoife asked, any last words? Naomi inhaled. When institutions silence you, remember you have two priceless instruments, your story and your voice. Use both, even if they shake. She removed headphones, literal mic drop. Applause in studio, standing ovation online. Backstage, Aoife hugged her. You just set a new high watermark for authenticity. Outside, paparazzi waited, but Naomi's team ushered her into a discreet SUV. Inside, Marcus grinned, phone ablaze with notifications. Your foundation site crashed, traffic meltdown. Naomi laughed, head against seat. Good problems. Across Lagos, Darren watched the interview alone. He zeroed in on scalpel versus sword. Contempt twisted his lips, but underneath burned reluctant respect. She wielded words like master keys. His advisor texted, we can't spin against her authenticity. We pivot, apologize. Darren typed back, draft statement. Hovered. Deleted. Pride still chained his thumbs. 7 weeks later. 1. The corporate quake. Darren Blake Global Holdings reported a 27% revenue dip. Sponsors withdrew. Board members demanded Darren step aside. In a tense meeting, CFO Olu Jacobs presented projections. If we hemorrhage at this rate, insolvency by Q4. Darren, eyes hollow, retorted, fearmongering. Olu slid a folder across the table, read. Darren flinched. Inside, resignation letters from 5 key directors. Stability requires sacrifice, Olu said quietly. Start with your ego. 2. The legal grind. Family court, Marble Hall. Naomi sat opposite Darren for preliminary settlement. He looked smaller in the gray suit, weight of public scorn heavy. Judge Adeyemi commended both for civil demeanor amid public frenzy but sided with Naomi on majority asset split and spousal compensation for emotional distress. Outside, press swarmed. Darren's lawyer read a brief apology. Cameras pivoted to Naomi, she simply said, court spoke. I rest. 3. Lena's reckoning. Lena, now represented by feminist attorney Ngozi Kalu, Teyo's referral, sued Darren for workplace harassment. Settlement reached quietly, rumor of 7-figure payout whispered across finance circles. Lena donated a third to Naomi's emerging foundation, Project Phoenix. 4. Naomi's rise. The foundation launched in the same rooftop venue, symbolic reclamation. Gold banners read From Ashes to Air. Survivors shared stories, Naomi listened, notebook in hand. When asked to speak, she recounted a new parable. A bird shed its bright feathers to escape a hunter, learned to fly naked, then grew plumage stronger than before. Applause thundered. Marcus streamed event to 200,000 live viewers. 5. Darren's last stand. Week's end, Darren requested a private meeting. Naomi agreed, neutral office, glass walls. He entered, shoulders slumped. "You win," he said. "It wasn't a contest," Naomi replied. He placed a slim envelope on the table. Letter. She recognized her handwriting, the one she gave him that night, still sealed. "I can't read it," he admitted, eyes moist. Naomi slid it back. "Then let it remain unread, reminder of words you lost the right to hear." He exhaled, broken. "What now for us?" Naomi smiled gently. "Us is a finished sentence. I'm writing chapters where I'm the subject, not the object." She stood. Meeting over. 6. Global echo. Influencers coined doing a Naomi to mean exiting toxic situations spectacularly yet gracefully. Talk shows debated moral lines between privacy and public reckoning. But hashtags eventually quieted, leaving behind structural changes. 3 Fortune 500 firms adopted stricter harassment policies citing the Blake scandal. 7. Personal dawn. On a quiet Sunday, Naomi painted again, first time in years. Bold strokes of crimson and sunrise yellow merged on canvas. Fola visited, smiling. "Your colors return." Naomi nodded. Storm's gift, clear air for art. Phone pinged, Marcus. Podcast offers permanent segment, Phoenix Fridays. Interested? Naomi typed, "Let's fly." 36 hours after the Courthouse press conference, Naomi's phone was an orchestra of dings. CNN Africa looped the red folder footage while talk radio callers debated whether public humiliation was empowerment or spectacle. Hashtag still spun like carnival lights, hashtag balance is beautiful, hashtag scalpel not sword, and the newest, hashtag rooftop reckoning. At dawn, Marcus barged into Naomi's suite, hair wild, clutching a tablet. "We've crossed 100 million cumulative views," he announced. "Oprah's team wants satellite rights. Good Morning America wants you in New York tomorrow." Naomi, still in pajamas, stared at the skyline. "Frenzy burns hot and quick, Marcus. Let's channel the heat before it scorches us." He grinned. "Already drafted a strategy, accept one global interview, decline the rest, direct traffic to Project Phoenix." Before Naomi could reply, her hotel landline rang, an ancient sound in a digital storm. She answered. "Mrs. Blake?" The voice was cautious, male. "This is Samuel Odiu, senior producer at the Morning Mirror. We're airing a 2-hour special, after the vows break. We'd like you." Naomi cut in gently. "I appreciate it, but I'm not interested in re-traumatizing audiences for ratings." Samuel hesitated. "We donate ad revenue to a charity of your choice." Naomi's eyebrows rose. "All of it?" "Yes." Marcus mouthed, "Take it." Naomi considered. "Ad revenue to shelters across West Africa. Plus a dedicated segment on economic abuse." Samuel agreed, call ended. Marcus fist bumped air. "That's how you turn noise into notes." Across Lagos in a penthouse stripped of staff, Darren watched the same frenzy with growing dread. He flipped channels, every anchor framed Naomi as Phoenix, him as Ash. His publicist Alima Skyped in, "Sir, silence isn't working. Transparency is our only play." Darren slammed the remote. "My board will fire me if I speak." "Sir, the board is meeting without you at 10 a.m. Camera holds on Darren's face as the sunrise paints his walls, light he cannot stop. That afternoon Naomi walked into the sleek offices of Arise Capital. The managing partner, Nena Ogbe, rose from a glass desk. "Ms. Blake, thank you for coming." Nena gestured toward a conference table framed by living walls of ivy. We're building a $50 million impact fund for female-led African start UPS. We'd like you as brand chair. She slid a term sheet forward, generous salary, 10% carry. Naomi blinked. Flattered, but money isn't my North Star. Nena tapped the table. Nor ours. Visibility is. Your story is gravity, we want that orbit. Naomi smiled. Send the deck. I'll decide after my foundation launch. As she exited, her phone buzzed, an unknown number. She answered, bracing. Naomi, it's Darren. Silence crackled. She kept walking, heels clicking like a metronome. I need a meeting, he said. Tomorrow, noon. I'll come to you. Naomi's voice was steady. Why? An offer. He sounded smaller. She exhaled. Noon, Project Phoenix office. Bring sincerity. Nothing else. Next day, Darren arrived wearing humility like an ill-fitting suit. The foundation office bustled, bright murals, open desks, women typing grant proposals. Naomi greeted him in a soft blue blazer. I'm selling my shares, Darren said without preamble. I'll lose controlling stake, but the cash could stabilize the company, protect employees. I want you to sign to halt further leaks. Naomi folded arms. You think I'm orchestrating media drops? Aren't you? She chuckled. I stopped pulling strings after the press conference. The world moves by itself now. Darren rubbed temples. Then help me. Sign, and I'll donate 8% of proceeds to your foundation. She studied him, eyes tired, voice frayed, maybe genuine. 10% directed to survivors of corporate exploitation. And a public apology, no misunderstanding language. He swallowed, nodded. Naomi offered her hand, he shook it, grip tentative. As he left, Marcus emerged from behind a cubicle wall, eyebrows raised. Unexpected. Naomi sighed. Redemption is a staircase, not everyone climbs, but I won't block the first step. Friday 8 p.m., Naomi sat on a minimalist stage lit by warm amber. Behind her, the Project Phoenix logo, a stylized bird forged from red folder papers, glowed. The live stream counter ticked, 5000, 10,000, 100,000 viewers. Welcome to Healing Hour, Naomi began, lapel mic catching every calm syllable. Tonight and every week, we share stories of reclamation. Not survivors, thrivers. She introduced guest one, Adejua, a former tech COO whose boss siphoned pension funds. Adejua recounted the discovery, the gaslighting, the lawsuit she nearly abandoned. Naomi listened eyes locked, then asked, what sentence did you tell yourself that nearly stopped you? That I was overreacting, Adejua whispered, voice cracking. Naomi turned to camera. Gaslighting thrives on isolation. If you hear that sentence in your head, borrow our voices tonight. Comments poured, I hear it daily. Crying in Nairobi, thank you. Guest 2, Musa, a soft-spoken father whose wife's family dismissed his grief after she vanished in conflict, shared how community restored him. Naomi handed him tissue, saying, tears water courage. Viewers typed hearts. Mid-show, donation ticker surged, $250,000 in 40 minutes. Marcus shot Naomi a thumb up behind cameras. Then a surprise call-in, Lena. Her voice steadier now. My story began with glamour and ended with apologies. I'm rebuilding. Naomi replied, rebuilding is architecture of the soul, you have blueprints now. After an hour, Naomi closed, healing isn't a destination but a practice. Meet me next Friday. Until then, breathe truth. She pressed palms together, feet faded to the Project Phoenix logo. Backstage, producers applauded. Marcus announced, $500,000 raised. Naomi's eyes brimmed. Hundreds of stories voiced, she corrected. Money was oxygen, voices were wind. Later, alone, she scrolled comments, doing a Naomi saved me. She inhaled, gratitude, responsibility, purpose intertwining like DNA. Across town, Darren watched on his laptop, tears glinting. He typed a tweet, paused, deleted. Instead, he searched therapy retreats near me. For months later, settlement papers awaited final signatures in Judge Adeyemi's chambers. Naomi arrived alone, Darren with a junior lawyer. Outside, journalists idled, but the meeting was closed. Judge Adeyemi glanced at both. "Are we ready?" "Yes, Your Honor," Darren said, voice measured. He turned to Naomi. "Before we sign, I owe you." Naomi lifted an eyebrow. He drew a breath. "A real apology. No press phrases. Just me." He slid a plain white envelope across to her. "I wrote this after binge-watching your healing hour. Read later if you choose." Naomi's throat tightened, but she kept composure. "Thank you." They signed. Judge stamped. Case concluded. As they stood, Darren said, "You once told me I miscounted loyalty. You were right. I mistook possession for partnership." His eyes glistened. "May your future glow." Naomi managed a soft smile. "Glow is internal. I hope you find yours." In corridor they parted, flashbulbs popped but Naomi held the envelope tight, unread. Outside, Teo waited, hugging her. Done. Marcus appeared with iced coffee. "The world's calm today. Just you, paperwork, sunshine." Naomi exhaled deeply. Endings are quieter than people think. That evening, on her apartment balcony, she finally opened Darren's letter. "I was raised to win at all costs. You taught me costs have names, yours, mine, Lena's. If healing is communal, please accept my first brick." Enclosed, a notarized receipt, Darren's 10% donation executed earlier that week, plus an anonymous $1 million top-up. Naomi's eyes filled. She whispered, "Brick received." She folded the letter into her journal, a chapter marker, nothing more. Anniversary of the rooftop reckoning. Same skyline. Same venue. Different story. Golden hour glazed the terrace where Project Phoenix celebrated its first birthday. Banners read "Rising continues." Musicians tuned chorus strings, scent of jollof mingled with sea breeze. Guests wore sunset hues, amber, coral, gold. Naomi, in a flowing white jumpsuit with Phoenix embroidery, greeted a line of donors. Marcus manned livestream gear, Adiz discussed new legislation, Phoenix protections, now before Parliament. A hush swept as Aunt Fola arrived, wrapped in indigo and cowrie jewelry. Naomi embraced her. "You told me storms birth clear skies." Fola laughed. "And you built an airport in that sky." The program began. Teo introduced Naomi not just as founder, but architect of second chances. Applause thundered. "Naomi took the mic 1 year ago. I stood here returning a tarnished crown. Tonight, I offer a different gift, a set of wings." Screens lit with stats, 42,000 counseling hours funded, 310 microgrants to women-owned Start UPS, 6 policy proposals in review. Cheers. Tears. Naomi continued, "We measured success in hearts restored." She gestured to stage wings, Adejua, Musa, and Lena joined her, living metrics. Then a subtle stir near the back, Darren, unannounced, in a simple gray suit. He stayed by the exit, no cameras. Naomi caught his eye, offered a small nod, he returned it, hands clasped. Respectful distance. Final act, an unveiling. Staff rolled out Naomi's latest painting, Flight. Canvas towered tall, depicting a giant phoenix soaring from a red folder that had transformed into molten sunrise. The crowd gasped. Art heals the artist first, Naomi said. Tonight it can heal again. She auctioned it on the spot, proceeds to refugee girls' scholarships. Bidding war ignited, Darren quietly signaled a proxy, winning at $2 million. No one noticed except Naomi, who smiled softly. Firework fountains erupted, not dramatic blasts, but graceful arcs of gold that rained silent sparks. Guests tilted faces skyward. Naomi stepped to railing, inhaling salt air. Marcus appeared. Global feed hit 6 million live viewers. Sky keeps widening, Naomi whispered. Fola joined, slipping a key box into Naomi's palm. For memories, she said. Naomi opened it, empty. Fola winked. You don't need it now. Naomi closed the lid, placed it beside a lantern, and faced her guests. Thank you for witnessing roots crack concrete, she said, voice strong, for proving storms can irrigate futures. Music swelled. Couples danced beneath fairy-light canopies. Darren slipped away unnoticed. Camera aerial shot pulls upward, terrace glowing like a constellation, Naomi's white jumpsuit a focal star, Lagos Lagoon shimmering below. Voiceover, Naomi's final healing hour outro, floats above the scene. Remember, phoenixes are not born from perfect nests but from ashes they refuse to stay in. So when life burns you, rise, not to scorch back, but to light the path. Fade to black. Roll credits of names, survivors, donors, changemakers, over soft chorus strings. The end.